Welcome, seekers of hidden knowledge, to the mystical realm of the occult. Delve into the secrets of the universe as we journey together into the enigmatic world of ancient wisdom. Brought to you by your guide through the shadows of enlightenment, Wisdom Rocker. Uncover the mysteries, unlock the power, and journey with us as we explore the hidden depths within the pages of forgotten scrolls and ancient texts. Prepare to embark on a journey beyond the ordinary, where wisdom transcends time and knowledge is your greatest ally. Welcome to Wisdom Rocker. Prepare to awaken your inner sage. In this video, we will be uncovering the wisdom within the chapters of
The Theosophical Seal, a study for the student and the non-student, by Arthur M. Kuhn, with an introduction by James S. Perkins. This book is dedicated to all searchers for wisdom. 1958. Chapter 3. 3. The Sacred Number. While a discussion of the number 3 naturally preludes a study of the interlaced triangles, we feel that it cannot be entirely omitted from its natural sequence of position in the divine alphabet. For this reason, this chapter will contain only those ideas necessary to preserve this continuity. The student is therefore referred to the chapter under the heading of the interlaced triangles for a more complete study. It will be impossible also to avoid certain repetitions of thoughts which seem equally necessary for the clarity of the subject under the headings of a divine language and the interlaced triangles. In all nature, the word finale has no place. The end of a day, a season, a year is only the pause before the entrance of a new day, season, or year. And yet the new day or year is not new except in the sense of being another segment in the procession of time. There are no new causes, which do not have their roots in yesterday's events. Cause and effect operate continuously on all levels, from the mental to the physical. Each day is not a new bead, separate from others on an endless thread. Nature's books are not closed with the ending of each season. The countless seeds and dormant things only await the returning warmth to continue their halted careers. Each morning brings with it yesterday's problems solved or unsolved. We merely turn the page of our book. The plot is unbroken. We play our parts in a never-ending drama whose gamut spans the extremes of tragedy and comedy. Life has no final curtain. The causes set in motion yesterday become today's happenings, and today's decisions become tomorrow's directions, whether tomorrow be a day or an incarnation. Someone once remarked that if the final curtain at the conclusion of a tragedy were to be raised again, the audience would witness a comedy, and vice versa. These observations on the continuity of life and nature are called forth by the realization that the foregoing chapter of this book is in itself utterly incomplete, and this is because of the fact that the conclusions expressed therein are only half true. In that chapter nothing is settled, and the whole argument is left dangling in the air. It is as if in a play we rang down the final curtain on the second act instead of the third. This second act chapter presented merely the various threads of the plot problem, not their solution. The intent of the present chapter will be to gather up these various loose threads and to indicate a direction and a purpose. The statement that all manifestation is dual is only half the story. Duality is a truism only as it is a process which leads to a third state. The first state is unity, or being; the second is duality, which is becoming; the third state of triplicity is fulfillment or completion. I think it may truly be said that everything in the manifested universe, from our highest concept of deity to a grain of sand, follows a threefold pattern. The geometrical figure which represents this truth is the triangle, and we may conclude that the triangle is the sign which is the third letter of our symbolical alphabet. We shall expect, therefore, to find a definite relationship between the triangle and the number 3, and also, we may suggest, with the letter C or G, Greek gamma, Hebrew gimel. Before continuing our search for these associations and relationships, we shall first pause to consider certain problems left unanswered in our previous discussion. We said that in the beginning God, in his act of creation, divided or polarized his nature into spirit matter. The one becomes two. As a result of that separation in the truest mystical sense, the divine sacrifice manifestation comes into being, and with that manifestation there appears on all levels an infinite host of dualities. And yet, all of these dualities, from the original duality spirit matter, are incomplete in themselves. If we examine these dualities, we shall see that they are also triplicities, for on every level of manifestation we can think of no duality which does not possess a third quality or characteristic. Let us start with that first fundamental duality, so easy to talk about, so difficult to comprehend: spirit matter. By the term matter we mean that primordial substance which the scientist calls ether or source material, distributed everywhere throughout space. The ancient Aryans called it Mula Prakriti Sanskrit, meaning the root principle of matter. By the term spirit we mean that ultimate reality or life principle which we may only call God. The human mind can conceive of neither spirit nor matter as not possessing some kind of form or shape, however ethereal that may be. Between these two poles of being there exists every conceivable type of living forms. It must be accepted that every form is the product of this union of spirit and matter, and without such union form could not exist. Occult science has taught, and modern science now confirms, that there is no form, however minute or dense, that does not contain some degree of spirit, in the form of energy or force. On the other hand, we can hardly think of life except that life be embodied in some form. If we go through the entire gamut of dualities, we find that each is complete only as it is seen as a triplicity. Take the dual concept of matter-motion. Each would be inconceivable without the third idea of space. And again, space-matter brings with it the idea of time. Again, uniting the twin concepts space-time, we have the relationship of measure. And the measure of time motion must be expressed by a threefold definition as distance, direction, duration. We mentioned a while back that the duality spirit-matter becomes the triplicity spirit-matter form. We have suggested that the union of spirit-matter produces life. Now we have another duality, life form. It is true that we cannot recognize or know life unless that life manifests through some form. It is only through the union of life and form that growth and evolution are possible. It is by the constant interplay of matter and energy, or matter and spirit, that all substances become known to man. On the lower levels of manifestation, the union of matter and energy produces awareness. On the higher levels, the union of life and form produces the triplicity life form consciousness. The phenomenon of electricity illustrates this principle, requiring the union of its positive and negative polarities for its manifestation. Or again, the twin forces of attraction and repulsion, or contraction and expansion, result in equilibrium or law throughout the physical universe. In a later chapter, many of the triplicities, both in nature and in the spiritual realm, are catalogued. The threefold pattern is repeated in the realm of consciousness. We say, I am I, or I am the self, and we see that world outside of us, which we know as the not-self. Between the self and the not-self there is a continuous relationship, which is consciousness. If we extend this idea to the realm of religion, we find that our highest concept of God fulfills this threefold pattern. The Trinity concept of deity is as old as man's thoughts. However, since this idea will be the subject of a detailed study in a later chapter, we shall pass it by for the moment with the observation that when the Creator put down fragments of himself into this world of manifestation to become the seeds of a future humanity, there was inherent within each of those fragments the desire or urge to reunite with its parental source. In the early ages of the race, this urge was but dimly felt and was expressed in primitive religious rites. In time, this urge, this desire to unite with God, became an absorbing passion and the theme of every religion. The word religion itself, religare, means to bind back, and suggests the connotation that religion, in its highest sense, is a relationship or covenant between man and God, thus completing another triangle, God-man-religion. In every age and in every race, the number 3 has been held sacred, associated always with the concept of deity, spirit, or life. References in the Bible to the number 3 are too numerous to be coincidental. The most obvious of these are the allusions to Jesus being 3 days in the tomb. He himself referred prophetically to his 3 days' burial as a sign or symbol. There shall no sign be given to this generation but the sign of the prophet Jonas, for as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. Matthew 12:39-40. Again he said, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. John 2:19. What Jesus really meant by these remarks, aside from a purely historical implication, has been the subject of endless conjecture. Among other things, may we suggest a reference to the 3 great stages of evolution of life upon our planet before that life emerged as man? The life of God descending to earth enters first the mineral kingdom. Then for 3 long days and nights it lies literally buried in the mineral, vegetable, and animal kingdoms. Then on the 4th day age, the life of God is resurrected in human form as the true divine image. Or again, we might consider this sign of the 3 days of burial in a mystical sense as referring to the birth or resurrection of spiritual consciousness. During the infancy of the race, consciousness lies buried in man's physical nature. During the adolescence of the race, consciousness is associated with the emotions. As the race approaches maturity, consciousness is identified with the mind. Then on the 4th day, consciousness rises to its own realm, the awareness of its own spiritual nature. Like most symbols, this allusion to 3 days and 3 nights may contain other and more exalted interpretations. We may note in passing that according to the biblical record, Jesus was only 2 nights in the tomb, his resurrection occurring on the morning of the third day, celebrated as Easter. Other references to the number 3 in the Bible will readily be recalled. Jesus was 30 years old, 3 times 10, when he began his ministry, which lasted 3 years. There were 3 sons of Judah who stood unharmed in the fiery furnace. 3 wise men sought the Christ child. The 3 disciples with Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration said, "Let us build 3 tabernacles." The 3 Christian virtues are listed as faith, hope, and charity. We have referred to the fact that ancient philosophers and mystics have taught an association between numbers and letters of the alphabet, as well as with geometric figures. We saw that the number 1, the letter A, and the point are related. Also, we have presented evidence to show an association between the number 2, the letter B, and the line. We shall not be surprised then to find evidences garnered from ancient sources to indicate that this series of relationships also follows with the number 3, the triangle, and with the 3rd letter of the alphabet. We may point out that this very association between numbers, letters, and geometric figures repeats our threefold pattern. Its number expresses its power, its letter suggests its idea, or wisdom, its form reveals its measure. Since the triangle is one of the integral parts of the Theosophical Seal, we shall for the moment defer our study of this symbol until we consider the interlaced triangles. Let us take a look at the 3rd letter of the alphabet, see Greek gamma, Hebrew gimel, and examine its relation to the first 2 letters A and B. If, as we have seen, Aleph represents spirit or activating principle and Beth suggests form or generative principle, we may conclude that gimel is the relationship between the 2, the magnetic link which unites them. We may think of it not only as the force which unites the 2, but also the result of their union. In nature, it is the adhesive principle. It is the form or mold in which spirit and matter are united. It is equally the infinitude of living forms which proceed from this union. If we may use a single word to express the intrinsic meaning of this letter, it is link or union. Using the human family as the living example of this concept, it is the love principle which unites father and mother, and it is also the child or product of this union. Expanding this idea, we may say that it is the link between personality and soul, between animal body and divine spirit. In a later study, we shall follow these many relationships into the cosmic or divine realms, where they reveal a universal pattern whose symbol is the triangle.
Thanks for watching the Wisdom Rocker. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.